Okay, hello. This video is what I think about Dolores Cannon. I'm going to do a video about Dolores Cannon. Oh wait, hold on. Oh yeah. Let's see. Dolores Cannon. I'm very interested in Dolores Cannon because Dolores Cannon is this really old lady who I guess a long time ago figured out how to hypnotize people in a different way than most people are hypnotized. She puts them in like the symbiotic state or something like that, some kind of really deep level trance that other people don't know how to put them into, where they actually start channeling their higher selves, but not just their higher self, but so high up, so subconscious, such a higher self that it's the same higher self that we all have. I guess maybe you could call it the Akashic Records, but so they basically start telling her whatever she wants to know. It's like talking directly to God through people in trance, using people as like a telephone to God, because she would like hypnotize another person, and she could like pick up where she left off from the person from the night before, and the same questions, and they would just pick up where they left off, like as though she's talking to the same person. So and she said like she could hypnotize anybody, which is interesting because, you know, some people say that only certain people can get hypnotized, and I kind of feel like I could never get hypnotized, so that's kind of exciting. I'd love to go and see Dolores Cannon and see if she could hypnotize me and see what I have to say. I'd love to hear her sessions. I guess she's got a bunch of books that she wrote. I should read one, or see if I could get an audio version of it. I don't have time to read because I'm always spending so much time working on my website and stuff. So I should see if she has like a audio book of her actual sessions. But she was talking about some of the sessions she remembers. Basically the kind of stuff that she talks about is, I mean, there's lots of interviews from her on the internet. You know, she's on Coast to Coast. She's on interviews from all different kinds of people, and she's of the belief, or from what the spirits tell her, is that we are actually the planet Earth is going to bifurcate. A lot of people are like, oh, New Age, you're into the world 2012, and one idea is that the Earth is going to bifurcate. The idea is that there's an infinite amount of parallel universes in the third dimension. And that's where the gray aliens come from the future of a parallel Earth that got fucked in the 2012. So they came back to, do genetic engineering with us. But, but the Earth's going to bifurcate because there's going to be an Earth that's going to stay in the third dimension, that's going to have cataclysms and have all the stuff that people are prophesizing. A lot of pessimistic people are prophesizing. I mean, if we look at the world right now, we are on an unsustainable path. We're cutting down like hundreds of acres of rainforest every year, and the rainforest produces 40% of the oxygen for the world. So if we keep doing that, we're going to run out of oxygen, and we're going to lose all of the medicinal plants that are out there. And and if we keep bioengineering medicine, and making them naturally pesticide, naturally toxic to kill plants, well then or kill bugs, now they're gonna start killing us, and then we rely on just chemically made medicines that end up polluting the water sources, and then causing more problems and toxic stuff than if you were to just use natural plants. Basically, that's a long way of saying that we are on a. Oh, I didn't upload. We are on a unsustainable path, and so one of the Earths is going to go down that unsustainable path and hit the wall and have problems, and but then the other part of the Earth is going to be a good Earth, and it's going to change, and we're going to become more natural. We're going to use the planet Earth naturally, medicines just from straight plants, get high from smoking marijuana and eating mushrooms instead of all these pharmaceuticals, and stop doing genetic engineering and wars and all that kind of stuff. We're going to change and become a good society. So there's actually Earth is going to bifurcate. So that's what she says. And she actually even remembered one of the speeches. One of the things that one of her hypnotees said is that she says, "Oh yeah, you know, I mean, even my soul, even my personality is going to bifurcate. Like in one, I can see my soul. In one, you know, I like say I got sick, or you know, I got the flu, or I got in a car accident or something." And they said, "Oh no, she died," like in the emergency room or whatever. "Oh no, she died. Oh, Fruzel." But then in the other parallel universe, the one that she chose to actually live in, they go, "Oh no, she made it. Oh, cool," and she goes onward. So it's like, you know, if like say, you know, somebody who's really bad and they died of cancer. I'm not saying that people who die of cancer are bad. Like my dad died of cancer, but somebody dies of cancer, they're like, "Oh, thank you."
How's everything going for you, sir?
Good. Thank you.
Would you like anything else right now?
I'm all right, thanks.
No problem.
Forgot to drink my water. They come back here to this room specifically for me. It's great. Somebody like dies of cancer here. They're like, "Oh, they died, but then they survived in the other world, you know? Or if they died in that other world, they survived in this world. So I guess your personality doesn't live in both worlds. Or I guess sometimes it can, but I guess maybe usually it doesn't. Like there's not going to be a Kyle in the fucked up world. I don't know, but it's interesting how she mentioned that's true. The bifurcation of the planet, and that's what's happening now. And she says, yeah, the planet is, increasing in vibration. We're all increasing in vibration. And one of the her favorite things to talk about is how there's 3 waves of new kinds of people coming to the Earth to help administer the changes in the Earth. And the first wave, and it's kind of, you know, it's the same as everybody else says. You know, you have the indigo children, and then you have the crystal children. And she said that there was like 3 waves of indigo crystal children, and it was the indigos who started, or she doesn't call them indigos, but she said the first wave started like born in the 20s or something, so they're kind of like older now, and that they were the ones who had a really hard time because they really didn't fit in, obviously, because back, you know, in the 50s and 60s, even if you had just as much as had long hair, you were going to get thrown in jail just for having long hair, you know. There was a lot less tolerance back then as there is now, so I can imagine how it could be difficult for them, but that they, you know, wanted to commit suicide and they just could barely handle it. And then the second wave, or like having an easier time, and then the third wave. And she's basically talking about the crystal children are having the easiest of times because they're born into parents who let them be who they are, and their actually DNA is changing. She's talking about the whole DNA changing thing, and she said that they're being born with new DNA, and they're not having to mutate their DNA into different DNA while they're alive after they get born, so that they are actually born. And I think she may have even said of, you know, everybody else says, you know, like the 2 extra strands of hyperdimensional DNA that were actually turning into another species, going to live longer and all that stuff. And she's like really excited about talking about that. But she says that it's the third wave, and I guess other people call them the crystal children. The third wave are changing the Earth, not even by saying anything or doing anything, just by being. Like they actually change the vibration of the Earth just with their aura. And that's actually what Lisa Renee said, is that people are changing the vibration of the Earth with their aura, with the electromagnetic frequency, if you will, that comes out of their heart and travels out into the world and actually changes the world just with their energy. And like they can walk into like a room and make everybody feel happy and lighten them all up just by walking into the room and just being there. So that's interesting, because, you know, that's exactly what Lisa Renee says. And I mean, it's interesting if you listen to, like, you know, all these different, you know, people who are like talking to God in their various different ways. They all say the same thing, and it's kind of interesting how different people talk to God in different ways. You know, Lisa Renee does it because she's like basically gets approached by these hyperdimensional beings, basically channels them and like sees them even in 3D in their room. You know, like who is that other lady? Barbara Han Klaus said she saw Pleiadians in light form in her in her office one day, you know, and then you have like what's her name, Nancy Leader, the woman who channels the Zeta Reticula aliens. Like they talk to her through her computer. She just turns on the computer and it's on. That's kind of how I think the Urantia book was channeled. It just like materialized the papers. Actually, there's different stories, materialized papers, and then like multiple people went into trance and kind of collaborated on the same book, and then you know, Bashar, like totally trance channelers, like when Daryl Anka totally goes into a trance, and then you have like conscious channelers, and then you have like people who just normal people who just hang out with aliens, like John Melchizedek and like you know, Alex Collier and Anna Hayes and those kind of people. And then you have like just really smart people who like read books, and then they just use their imagination to fill in the gaps, like Dan Winter. You know, I'm kind of in that category, the category of the person with an imagination who just reads stuff and then they compare stuff and fill in the gaps with their own imagination. So it's interesting. There's a whole number of ways you can arrive at the information, but the fact of the matter is if you really want to, you know, learn something and figure out, if you realize that there's something going on that's beyond what consensual reality has always been, where we're the only people in the whole universe and there's no such thing, you know, like an atheist, there's no such thing out there. You know, if you really look at the evidence and you go, oh look, yeah, look at all the monuments, there's no way old ancient civilization could have made that. Look at all the UFOs, what's that, what's going on, what is this? If you really want to know, the answers are there. You just go read books or something or watch YouTube videos. But anyways, some other stuff that she was talking about is like she said she put somebody who was in a trance, and they were talking about, and she's talking about like Earth history, like Atlantis and Lemuria and Mu and stuff, and she said that, yeah, I think like Atlantis like went out of business, you know, in a big like tidal wave, 100-foot wave at one point, and like people like, you know, were talking about how they, you know, drowned in the big wave, and like some lady was drowning, and she goes, and as she was dying, she was, you know, she saw the light, and she kind of, you know, woke up and remembered what was going on exactly, and she was like, okay, well, that was our last chance at, it was like when Atlantis, like, see, what she says is that Atlanteans, they tried to, can't remember exactly, but they tried to like increase vibration in the earth to get like more psychic powers and all this stuff, and so they created all these crystals and like pyramids crystals. It's kind of what the pyramids are for, creating these, I guess maybe these torsion fields. And they're shooting lasers into the center of the earth, and then laser beams, or maybe torsion fields or whatever, laser beams into the atmosphere, and they're punching holes in the atmosphere, and it let all this, you know, ultraviolet light into the atmosphere, and it killed them, and it started, I don't know what happened. Maybe that's what allowed the comet to come and crash and create the big tidal wave, but whatever, they killed Atlantis and the whole world of civilization. And as somebody was dying, the lady was thinking, oh, well, that's that. Like, we're not going to have that. We're going to have to go to sleep for a while, was exactly what she said. And what she meant was, you know, our civilization, you know, from now on, because everybody died now, from now on, we're going to have to be cavemen for a few thousand years, because we just blew it. We just blew that window. Maybe it was because we're going to have to wait for the electromagnetic frequency to rise again. I guess to get back into the photon belt, because we do, you know, we go into the center of the galaxy photon belt every 13,000 years and then back out. So I don't know, but that was 13,000 years ago. So maybe there's another photon belt on the other side. I don't know. But anyways, my point is, when she was dying, she was going, oh no, we're going to have to wait for a while. Next time I get reborn, it's not going to be enlightened with all this technology and being able to live. It's going to be like caveman again. And she was like thinking that as she was dying. And then she was hypnotized somebody else who's talking, and like they were hanging out, and then all of a sudden this like spaceship lands next to him. And it goes, and it's pretty much the same exact story as the Noah's Ark or the Epic of Gilgamesh, which is really simple. But they're all these aliens, they step out of it and they go jump in our spaceship. and take some of your animals with you. And they were like, a bunch of your animals with you. And they were like, okay. So they jumped in the spaceship and they flew way up into space. It's orbiting the Earth. And then they saw like a comet hit the Earth, and they saw like the Earth, like they saw this huge explosion, I think is what they said. They saw these huge like nuclear bomb explosions all over the Earth. And then they landed. And but when they landed, it had been like thousands of years had gone by. But even though they were only up in space for like 10 minutes or something like that, or like a couple hours or something like that. I don't know how they knew thousands of years had gone by. Like maybe the aliens told them that or something, but that was kind of interesting. So maybe when you go up in space, you know, in a spaceship, you go into another dimension and time goes by a lot faster, but or a lot slower. But ooh, it's past 15 minutes, so I get to see if this actually uploads. Because supposedly I can upload videos longer than 15 minutes. So that's interesting. What else did she say? Man, I haven't heard any of what she was talking about for a couple of weeks now, but she's definitely really interesting. She's this really old lady, but she's like beyond years, you know. She even uses like young people vernacular. She's like, yeah, some of the people I interview are wannabes. they want to pretend that they're being like they. So I don't know how you could be a wannabe though, because she said everybody can be hypnotized. So maybe there's some people, maybe that kind of is contradictory of what she says. Because how could you be a wannabe if you're hypnotized? Can you be a wannabe if while you're under hypnosis? Maybe she's talking about somebody else. But anyways, yeah. So that's basically what I think about Dolores Cannon. Really interesting stuff. You should check her out. Okay.